Hello everyone, my name is Jason and you are watching Netminder Review. I'm wearing my Johnny Cash shirt today. I thought, as he said in the Man in Black song, I'd wear the black in mourning for, in this case, the hockey season that could have been. Obviously, we know that the hockey season is on hold and it's rough, but here we are. So I want to talk some hockey with you guys today anyway. If you're like me, I'm chomping at the bit to watch hockey, but since I can't watch it, the next best thing I can do is talk about it. So what I'm going to go over in this video is an interesting little statistical deep dive that I did. The premise of this video is which goaltenders in the NHL have, up to this point in the season, given their team the best chance to win on a night in and night out basis. Now, what am I basing that on? Well, first of all, I'm only looking at goaltenders who have started 25 games or more this season. And then second of all, I'm looking at save percentage on a game-by-game basis. So there's a website that tracks a statistic called Really Bad Starts. I've mentioned it in some of my other videos. And the concept behind Really Bad Starts is if a goaltender starts a game and then finishes that game, whether he's pulled, whether he plays the whole game, whatever, whenever he's done playing in that game and the game is over, if that goaltender had a save percentage of 85% or worse, then that's considered a really bad start. Now, you might be thinking, well, if a goaltender has a save percentage of 89% or worse, that's not good, that's pretty bad, and I would agree. But the statistic tracks 85% save percentage in a game or worse. And if a goaltender starts a game, has a save percentage of 85% or worse, when the game is over, then that goaltender is credited with having a really bad start. So what I want to do in this video is look at which goaltenders this season who have started 25 games or more. That was just a number that I came up with to make it, worth looking at. Which goaltenders this season have had the fewest really bad starts in their season so far. Redundant there, sorry. Anyway, and then once I've looked at just the sheer numbers, these goalies have had the fewest really bad starts, then I'm going to look at it from a perspective of percentages. Which goaltenders are having the fewest really bad starts per game, per start, okay? I mean, over the course of the season, who is going out there game after game after game after game and putting up a save percentage above 85% on just a super regular basis. So let's take a look first at the sheer numbers, which 10 goaltenders in the NHL have the fewest really bad starts, and then we'll turn it into a percentage game and rank them. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so if you guys have been hearing background noise, I want you to understand my situation here. On the other side of this wall behind me, which this is not a wall, this is kind of like a backdrop, but there's a wall right behind it. On the other side of that wall, I have a little bit of yard, and then there's a highly traveled road, okay? So I've got vehicle noise going up and down this road all the time. One block further down, there's a train track. Halfway in between them, there's a church that plays plays hymns on their bells, which are really pretty to listen to. And then there's a very, very small airport about 2 miles that way. So I started recording this video, and the church started playing bells, a train started blowing its whistle, a plane flew over, and they're all just little propeller planes, so they do make quite a bit of noise, and cars went by. So I was like, that is a lot of noise. Anyway, neither here nor there. So let's take a look at the sheer numbers, and then we'll rearrange them by percentages, okay? So first of all, Corey Crawford. Corey Crawford of the Chicago Blackhawks has, as that sort of cliche, quietly put together a really good season. I think it's quietly because I don't think Corey Crawford really ever gets a whole lot of praise for what he does. And he's put together a heck of a career, quite frankly. And also quietly this year because Chicago is going to miss the playoffs, most likely, if we have playoffs. And they haven't been really all that great. But Corey Crawford has only had 3 really bad starts in 39 games. So that means in 36 games, he has had a save percentage better than 85. Now, again, I know I said it a moment ago, you really want your goaltender to have a save percentage above 90 and really a little bit above 90, right? In the teens, somewhere in there or better. Nevertheless, for what the statistic measures, I still think it's very interesting and very useful, and Corey Crawford has been giving his team a chance to win. Yaroslav Halak from Boston, only 3 really bad starts in 29 games. Now, that one shouldn't surprise us. Boston is in first place overall in the NHL. Halak has been playing extremely well. If you watch my power ranking videos, you know that Halak, I've done the power ranking, I think 8 weeks, and Halak has been on the power ranking every single week. He is playing really well. If you look at goals against average and save percentage in the league, he is ranking up high. Tristan Jarry of the Pittsburgh Penguins has 3 really bad starts in 31 games. So here's another guy where I know the Penguins have been down lately, haven't been winning a lot of games. Jarry has not been playing as well lately. And on my power ranking last week, I dropped him off of the power ranking because his last few games had kind of been clunkers. But overall this year, nonetheless, still only 3 games out of 31 where he's at a save percentage of 85% or worse. Elvis Merzlikins of the Columbus Blue Jackets. And Columbus is, you know, they're in an interesting situation where they're not playing nearly as well as they were before Korpisalo got hurt, or during the time that Merzlikins was playing amazingly after Korpisalo got hurt. But nonetheless, Merzlikins has put together quite a run with only 3 really bad starts in 31 games. Antti Raanta from Arizona, only 3 really bad starts in 32 games. Arizona is another team that is really, to the degree that they've been good this season, it has largely been on the backs of their goaltenders, Darcy Kuemper and Antti Raanta. Tuukka Rask. So we have Halak from Boston, Rask from Boston. And you wonder why Boston's so good. Well, are Halak and Rask playing so well because they play for Boston, a great team? Or is Boston a great team because they have Halak and Rask? Well, I would say yes. Yes on both. It's a both and. Boston is a fantastic team, and they have probably the best goaltending tandem in the NHL. We could argue for Dallas. We could argue for Arizona. You know, the Blues have a pretty good tandem going on, and you know, those are not the only teams, but Boston, it's hard to argue that anybody has a better 1-2 punch in goal than Boston. Okay, I forgot about Vegas. Vegas is way up there too, but still I would put Boston ahead of them. So Rask and Halak both on this board. Rask having only 3 really bad starts in 41 starts. Now, keep in mind, again, for a goaltender to be on here, he has to have made 25 starts, and this second number is the amount of starts that the goaltender has had, not the amount of games that he has played, right? I mean, he might have gone into a game because another goalie got injured or because the other goalie was pulled due to a bad game. So these are starts. We're simply talking about starts. So if you go look at games played, you're going to see on many of these guys a different number, and you're going to go, well, that's not how many games they have. No. This is not how many games they played. It's how many starts they have. UC Saros in Nashville, 3 really bad starts out of 34 starts. And Anton Khudobin in Dallas, only 2 really bad starts in 26 games. And Khudobin has just come on amazingly this year. His save percentage is varying between number 1, number 2 in the league. His goals against average is doing the same. Only 2 really bad starts in 26 games. He's winning, well, he's winning a lot of games when Dallas can figure out how to score, which has been a major weak point for them this year. And you know, Ben Bishop has not had a bad season, but Bishop has played worse lately. And Khudobin has just stepped right up and been everything that Dallas could hope for in a goaltender. But of course, I mean, again, assuming the season resumes, if Dallas can't figure out how to put the puck in the net, it just really doesn't matter what Khudobin or Bishop does, because Dallas is going to get bounced in the first round if they can't score. Darcy Kuemper from Arizona. So here's our second team. We had Boston with both of their goalies on. We have Arizona with both of their goalies on. Now, Darcy Kuemper was out for an extended period of time with injury, but he still had 29 starts. And in those 29 starts, he's only had 2 really bad starts. So Arizona, again, another team like Dallas, where they really have a lot of scoring woes. So Arizona and Dallas are 2 teams that you know, if there are playoffs, could make the playoffs, should in Dallas's case, could in Arizona's case. And in both cases, you know, goal prevention is not a problem for them. They have amazing goaltending and they have strong defense, but their scoring is just weak. And with Arizona, I think you could look at that lineup and say, well, yeah, I don't see a lot of goals there to be had. I know you've got Phil Kessel. I know you've got Taylor Hall. But nonetheless, not a real potent offense on paper. With Dallas, that's not the case. Dallas has a good offense on paper. Sagan, Ben, Radulov, Heinz. You know, these are good guys that can put the puck in the net, and they're just not doing it this year. And then finally, at number one, as far as before I rearrange them by percentages, Linus Ullmark. The Buffalo announcers always call him Linus, so I'm sure that's right. But because I love Charlie Brown, I can't see his name spelled out Linus and not think Linus. And I don't even know if that's how Linus from Charlie Brown spells it, but it just looks like Linus to me. But anyway, Linus Ullmark only has 2 really bad starts in 34 games. Or 34 starts. Now Buffalo has been bad. And I know that, lately. And I know that Linus Ullmark was injured like Darcy Kemper for an extended period of time, but he still has 34 starts. I mean, let's take a guy like Tuukka Rask, right? Only 41 starts. Now, I know he's splitting time with Halak quite a bit. So, you know, you can factor that in. Nevertheless, Linus Ullmark has had plenty of starts, a significant enough amount of starts for that to really be an impressive number, especially when you think about the fact that Buffalo, they're not that strong of a team. I know, just like last season, they started out the season very well, and they looked like they could be a real contender, but also just like last season, they just fell right off the map. And by the way, I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan, so I'm picking on Buffalo right now. I'm picking on them as a fan. I like the Buffalo Sabres. I've been a big Buffalo Sabres fan since the early 1990s. And it makes me sad that they've been as inept, really, over the last few years as they have been. But they've got a good goaltender in Linus Ullmark. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the names off of the board, but put them back up in a different order according to not the sheer numbers. This is how many they have. This is how many starts they have. But I'm going to base it on percentage. What percentage of their starts have been really bad starts? And we'll take a look at the board from that perspective and come to the conclusion of which goaltender is giving his team the best opportunity to win night in and night out. Okay, so I've taken the names off the board and put them back up in percentage order. So what percentage of each of these goaltenders' starts are really bad starts? So for Yaroslav Halak, he had, let's see where it was. It was 3 really bad starts in 29 games, and I rounded up on these percentages or rounded down depending. So he's at 10%. So he's only having, you know, 1 really bad start every 10 games. So he's going out there and the vast majority of the time giving his team a really good opportunity to win. Now, Tristan Jarry and Elvis Merzlikins, Tristan Jarry from Pittsburgh, Elvis Merzlikins from Columbus, they're both exactly the same. So that's why I have the little arrows going up or down. They could be in either order here. So they're really tied for 8th, if you will. Both having had 3 really bad starts in 31 games. And I rounded that to 10%. So again, like Halak, 10%, but actually they're a little bit better because they're, if you look at the decimals, they're a little lower. Antti Raanta from Arizona comes in at number 7 at 9%. And UC Saros comes in at number 6 with Nashville at 9%. And by the way, it's a good thing that UC Saros is on here for Nashville because Pekka Rinne not only is not on here, but whenever I get done with this video, my next video is going to be the flip side of this. Which goaltenders are giving their teams the worst opportunity to win? Or in other words, which goaltenders are having the most really bad starts? And I haven't done all the number crunching yet, but I think Pekka Rinne is on that list. So it's a good thing they've got Saros doing the opposite. Khudobin. It's funny, if you watch my power ranking videos, Khudobin was ranked number 5 in my power ranking videos for the longest time. And then a couple weeks ago, I made the comment, I said, I may as well just put Khudobin's name in permanent marker at number 5 because that seems to be where he's always going to be. But then over the last couple weeks, he had moved up on the power ranking. But on here, on really bad start percentage, he's number 5 again, his favorite place in my world anyway, at 8%. Corey Crawford from Chicago, number 4 at 8%. And again, even though they're both 8%, Crawford's is better because it's been, you know, the decimals when you look at the percentages are lower for Crawford. And Crawford, these numbers are just really impressive because, you know, Chicago's not bad. They're not terrible. They're not a terrible team. There have been a number of times this year where it looked like they might be able to be in playoff contention. But I just, maybe it's because I'm a St. Louis Blues fan. I don't know what it is, but I just never think of Crawford in like big spectacular terms. He's just kind of a guy. And yet, when you look at the course of his career, he's been a heck of a guy. So if you're a Blackhawks fan, leave me a comment and let me know. What do you think of Crawford? Are you a big Crawford fan? Have you been one of the people over the years who's been like, when are we going to pick up another goaltender? Were you excited when they brought in Leonard? Thinking, hey, this is fantastic. Now we've got our goaltender. Were you disappointed when they got rid of Leonard? How do you feel about Corey Crawford? I'd really love to get the perspective of some Chicago fans. Number 3, Darcy Kemper from Arizona, 7%. I mean, these numbers are really, really good. And I understand these guys could have had a game that was 86% save percentage, 87% save percentage, and it's not showing up in these numbers. Nonetheless, all of the goalies in this statistic, every goalie in the NHL is being measured the same way when it comes to this statistic, and these are the guys that are putting up the best. So Darcy Kemper at 7% comes in at number 3. Tuukka Rask, who, by the way, is my favorite for the Vezina this year. I look at Tuukka Rask, I say, okay, 41 starts, right? And I don't know how many starts he'll get if the season resumes because I don't know how many regular season games there will still be. But 41 starts. He is constantly either leading the league in goals against average or being number 1 or number 2. He is doing the same in save percentage. He's only had 3 really bad starts out of 41. He's winning a lot of games. And I think Tuukka Rask deserves the Vezina this year. And if he doesn't get it, okay, depending on who gets it instead. There are some goalies that I think their names might get thrown around that I just don't think are having Vezina seasons. I think right off the bat of a guy like Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky has a ton of wins, but he's starting almost every game Tampa Bay plays. His goals against is not spectacular. His save percentage is not spectacular. He's a very good goalie. I'm not saying he didn't deserve the Vezina last year, but this year, Vasilevsky does. I don't think he's having a Vezina season, and Rask is. So if Rask doesn't win the Vezina, I mean, personally, I could handle Khudobin winning it. I don't see that being a possibility. I don't even think he'll get in the top 3 votes, but I could live with that. Khudobin has had an amazing season, really. But if I had a vote, it would be Tuukka Rask. And number 1, percentage-wise, Linus Ullmark from Buffalo. Here's a guy who has only had a really bad start in 6% of his starts. So if that were just 1% lower, 5%, that would mean that he's only having 1 really bad start out of every 20 games. So this works out to what? Roughly 1 out of every 19, something like that. I'm not a math major, I won't lie to you. But this is a guy who is going out game after game after game, and he is playing exceptionally well. He's not letting in ridiculous amounts of goals. He is giving Buffalo a chance to win. Of course, unfortunately, they need Jack Eichel to score a bunch of goals or they don't win because it doesn't seem like they're getting a lot of scoring from other places. But Linus Ullmark is not the problem. Now, Linus Ullmark was injured for quite a while. Carter Hutton was fine in some games and not so fine in others. And I know they played, was it Johansson too? I'm pretty sure that's his name. I hope I'm not butchering that. But anyway, and he was okay here and there. But Linus Ullmark is the guy. And if I'm a Buffalo fan, I'm looking at this, and I'll admit I haven't looked at Linus Ullmark's contract. I don't know how long he's under contract with Buffalo, so I don't know if he's signed for 10 years or if he's a free agent at the end of this year. But if I'm a Buffalo fan, you know, I can at least hang my hat on the idea that Linus Ullmark is a strong, strong future in net, a strong goaltender in net. So I found that information to be pretty fascinating, and I wanted to share it with you. I'm going to do another video that's going to be, like I said, the opposite, where we're going to look at the worst goaltenders in the NHL from this perspective. Some of them I think won't surprise you, and some of them, I've done a little bit of the research, some of them I think will surprise you. Anyway, or at least maybe you'll be surprised when you consider what team they're on, and some of them not so much. So anyway, let me know what you think. Leave me a like, and please subscribe to this channel. That would be really great if you would do that. Thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic day, and please bring back hockey. Anyway, have a great day. Thank you. Bye now.